guys, welcome to Play into Kindergarten Readiness. This is session 5. I'm in a different room today and I'm realizing I didn't lock our new kitten away, so he might come join us in a bit, cause a bit of a muck, but hopefully not. Today we're going to work on 2 new phonological awareness skills, syllable awareness and sound identification. Then we're going to move into one-to-one correspondence and work on some gross motor skills as well, or learning about gross motor skills as well. So the first phonological awareness skill we'll add to our repertoire, we have rhyming and word awareness from last week. So now we're going to add syllable awareness and sound identification. So syllable awareness, it's important we don't start this until our little ones have a good understanding of word awareness. So what we were practicing last week, because we don't want to confuse them by saying, you know, kitten is 1 word, but it's 2 syllables. It's important they have the foundation of word awareness first, then we introduce the idea of syllables. So syllables are how many chunks are in a word, or how many claps are in a word. 2 great ways to practice this with little ones are clapping the words or putting your hand under your chin and really enunciating the words as you say them, and your hand will actually move down. So kitten moves down 2 times. I think cats will be our theme for today because he's going to be on my mind this whole video. So kitten is 2 syllables. Your hands move down 2 times. So before I get into ways of practicing this skill, why is it important? So when we're teaching little ones to read and we're decoding words, we often break those words apart to make them more manageable chunks to try to sound out. So knowing that children have this syllable awareness, they're going to be able to break those words apart easier and sound them out easier. So it's a great reading skill. And again, all of these skills in phonological awareness are just auditory. They don't match up with letters yet, letter names. It's simply sounds and things that children hear. So we're first doing a foundation in that, so in what they can hear. After they have this foundation, then we're matching that to the letter names and that S says S. But right now we're just working on what they hear to give them that wonderful foundation in the auditory learning. So we talked about how it's different from word awareness. When you're introducing this skill, start with just 1 word, often your child's name or people in your family, mom, mommy, dad, daddy, and clapping them. So mom, 1 clap, mommy, 2 claps. So they learn that 1 word can be made of many different claps. Yeah, so another way to practice, so we start with the 1 word, and then once they have a firm understanding of that, then you can build up to sentences. So you can say, I like cats. Let's count how many words that is. I like cats, 3 words. What about how many claps it is? How many syllables? I like cats. 3 claps as well. What about I like kittens? I like kittens. That's 3 words as well. How many claps? I like kittens. It's 4 claps. So, here it goes. So playing with those words as well in that way. Another good way to practice is with a balloon, because balloons float and come back slowly. So it really makes children slow down with words. So you can use just your hand in whacking balloons or a tennis racket in whacking balloons. We often, in my household, attach the balloons to a string from the ceiling because otherwise they get carried away and, you know, busy little people I have. So we attach it to a string from the ceiling, and then they often will use a tennis racket and whack it. So if they're saying the word kitten, they would hit it with kit, and then they have to wait for it to come back again before they can finish the word tin, kitten. And it really helps them to slow down and break those words apart. Okay, the second skill of phonological awareness for today is sound identification. So sound identification is 3 parts, using the first sound, middle sound, and last sound. Hearing the first sound, middle sound, and last sound in words. Here he is. This is Treble. This is Felix. Felix, say hi. So hearing the 3 sounds in a word, the beginning, middle, and end. They are progressional, so children start with hearing the first sound, they'll pick up on that at the preschool age, likely. And then it moves to the last sound, and that's kind of developmentally, it's often early kindergarten, later kindergarten, and then the middle sound sometimes doesn't develop until really late kindergarten, even grade 1, where they can start to hear the middle sound in words, late kindergarten. But again, that's just developmentally. It will happen in that order in their own time. So it's a great space to start is with the first sound. So you could say the word Sam. What's the first sound we hear in Sam? Oh, it's a S. So they're just hearing the first sound, not saying it's an S, just the sound. Some ways to practice this is to do what doesn't belong. So Sam, sat, celery, box, summer. You don't need to do that many. I don't know why I did that many, but maybe 3. Sam, celery, box. Which one doesn't belong? Box doesn't. They don't need to know that celery starts with a C and Sam starts with an S. That doesn't matter. They're just hearing the sounds. They're the same sounds. They both say S. And that's the foundational knowledge we're giving them, is the auditory part. So they would know that, oh, box doesn't belong. You can also do a walk and gather. So you're walking around a room and your little one can pick up. Give them a challenge. Pick up as many things as you can that start with the sound B. So they're walking around and they pick up a box. They pick up a button. They're walking around and they're trying to gather as many B things as they can. And you can do that as well and try to have them guess what your rule is. So you walk around and you pick up, I'm looking at my floor, what's laying around. You pick up a slipper, or you pick up a, what else might you pick up? Slipper or a sock or something like that. That's things that start with S, and let your little one figure out, oh, you're picking up S, or you're picking up S things. So you can do that first, and then you can move to the last sound. Once they are really understanding that, you can progress to the last sound, and the same thing, play the same games, but focus on the last sound they hear in the word. So cat. What's the last sound we hear? Oh, it's a T. And play in that way as well. It's important because children must, this is really important for future writing skills, reading as well, but also for writing, children must be able to hear the sounds, all the different sounds in a word, in the beginning, middle, and end, in order to write them. So by focusing on hearing those sounds in isolation, so S, they are going to piece together. Once they can do that, the next step is that they'll be learning the letter names and how to write them and all of that. So it all just builds on itself. So it's a really important pre-writing skill. Okay, so that's for phonological awareness. A couple ideas for you to play with this week. And now in math, we're going to do one-to-one correspondence. So this is one of the most important foundational skills we're going to work on. Super easy. They're all easy, but really, really important. And we'll get to the end after I've described it. We'll get to the end about why it's so important. You'll start to think, wow, yeah, that is a really important skill. So I chatted about this in the last video. One-to-one correspondence is counting one number for one item. So if you have 5 buttons on your hand, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they point to the buttons and say the number as they're counting. It's a tricky skill for kids to pick up, and lots of great ways to practice it. So you can do counting exactly in that way, where you put things on the ground and you encourage them to count them. You can use your whole body when you're going up the stairs, and you can kind of sing as you're going up the stairs and just make it fun in everyday life. And you're counting the numbers of steps you take to get up the stairs, so they're using their whole body. You can also do matching, again, in everyday life. So, okay, we're gonna set the table. How many people do we have to set the table for? Okay, there's mommy and daddy and little brother Timmy and you. Okay, let's count. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4. So let's get out 4 cups, and then they count the cups as they get them out, that they need 4, putting them on the table, 4. So just everyday way that you can practice those skills, and it'll come with time. Now, why it's super important is, oh, and this is another thing to practice, is you have, like, let's say you have 3 blocks. And you put the 3 blocks on the table, and your little one will count 1, 2, 3. There's 3 blocks. Without doing anything, with just simply pushing the blocks together, so there's still 3 blocks there, your little one will likely, when you say how many blocks are there, your little one will likely go 1, 2, 3 and count them again. And same thing when you stack them in a tower. You're not adding any blocks, you're not taking any away, but your little one will feel the need to count again. So they just need time to develop the skill, knowing that 3 blocks is going to be 3 blocks. If you haven't added any more, taken any more away, they don't need to continue to count. It's still 3 blocks. So just giving them time to play with that skill. So now why it's so important is if they have excellent counting that we did before and number recognition, then they're going to start, you have 7 blocks. They've counted 7, you take 1 away, and they're just going to say, oh, now there's 6. Because they played so much with counting forwards and counting backwards that they can automatically count backwards from 7. You take away 1, oh, now there's 6. They don't need to recount all the blocks. So that's kind of how all the skills are linked together. And that's why this is a super important skill to have, is that, you know, it plays a role in everything in math, is having this strong understanding of the order of the numbers, what the numbers look like, and then being able to manipulate the numbers and play with the numbers in this way. And I shared with you the timeline, the number line game that I play with my little ones often. We often played in the car, where you play Guess My Number. The same idea that works well here. That works really well here as well, even though that's more abstract, like it's not concrete one thing for one number. It's another great game to play here to make sure they have that, that solid number sets in their head. Okay, so yes, I think I talked about all of those things. Oh, and I don't know if I said that, ensuring that children have a solid understanding of the first 2 skills we've practiced first. So first, they really need to be able to count forwards and backwards, and they also really need to understand what the numbers look like. So they can have instant, they look at a 2, they say it's a 2. They look at a 7, they say it's a 7 instantly. So once they have that and they can easily count up to 10, ideally, really just 10, I suppose, until you move on to the one-to-one correspondence, that they can easily count to 10, frontwards and backwards. They can start at 5 and continue and counting to 10. They can start at 2 and continue to count up to 10. Once they can do that really, really easily, then you're ready to move on to one-to-one correspondence and play with some of those skills. Okay, the third thing we're going to talk about is gross motor skills. So gross motor skills are using the big muscles, and that's they develop through like running and jumping and climbing and rolling, things like that. So they're important. They're important to develop because humans develop in all ways. Everything we do doesn't need to be related to success in the classroom, right? Like there's so much more at play than simply being ready to sit in a classroom. So it's important that they're able to run and they're able to jump and they're able to do things that will keep their bodies healthy for a long, long time. But as it does relate to the classroom, having strong muscles, big muscles, it enables them to sit in a chair and enables them to hold their arms in a position that they can write and that they can cut and that they can do fine motor skills. That involves gross motor skills as well. They need to have that core strength in order to do that. So it is related to the classroom. It's so much more than that. But it is also related to the classroom, their ability to print and write and hold a book and read and do anything at a tabletop. That's going to they need to be sure that they have strong gross motor skills in order to do that without tiring too quickly. It also, when they've had a chance to use their whole body, lifting heavy things, sometimes you hear kids need to do heavy work. They get to lift heavy things, push their body, use those muscles. It expels their energy so that they can then focus and attend much better. So ensuring children have that built into their the rhythm of their day about being busy and being quiet, being outside, being inside, that whole rhythm that flows to your day, ensuring that they have lots of time to really move and use those big muscles will allow them to later really focus and attend to what you're trying to say or teach them, or allow them to sit still at the dinner table, things like that. My 2 littlest are very, very busy little guys, so it's really important that we allow them to expel this energy so that they're able to have success with something as simple as sitting at the dinner table with us. Otherwise they quite literally can't stay in their chair, which is frustrating. So to avoid frustration for everybody, we give them what they need, the gross motor time, and then they're able to do what we need them to do, is sit still for dinner. So lots and lots of different ways to practice this. I have some links on the blog, but mostly it's just, getting outside and running and jumping and building snowmen or tobogganing. It's winter here, obviously, or playing outside in the summer, swimming, jumping, running, flying a kite, rolling down a hill, any of those things. Just super naturally let them go outside and explore and play. Also, you can do like obstacle courses, and sometimes here we're in Canada and we get really, really, really cold winters, so we'll create obstacle courses in the basement with the chairs and the desks and the couch, and they're allowed to, they have to pretend the floor is lava for some of them and they can't step on the floor and they have to get all the way around, or, it'll be a timed one, or we have a ball that they have to carry between their legs the whole time they're doing the obstacle course, or they have to, there's so many ideas. So I do have a link in the course book about different ways to do obstacle courses with your little ones. And then balance is another thing to think about practicing, is a child's ability to balance. So you can create simple balance beams or balance boards. We've done both. So we'll take a chair, just a normal kitchen chair, and the rungs in the bottom, we'll put a 2x4 from one chair to the other, just to make a little, it's only this high off the ground, just a little balance beam for them to try to walk across the 2x4. Or you can make a balance board, which my kids love doing, is you take a log. We have a wood stove, so we have logs, but I'm sure you can probably find one around, or maybe like a coffee can or something would work as well. And then put a short piece of 2x4 over that as well. And then, it goes from side to side, and they put their feet on it and they have to try to find that magic point where the board balances. And it's really tricky and great for their core strength. So that's some ways to play with gross motor skills. Okay, final thing for today is the social skill experience. We're going to find some social skill experiences for your little one. A great place is at the park. So I'm sure you go to the park with your little one often. And take that opportunity, seek out those opportunities to encourage them to chat with the other kids at the park and initiate play. Making friends, and going up to a child that they don't know and introducing themselves and how to have that interaction. The park is a perfect place for that, because often the little ones that are there are new to you. So it's a great